Hi everyone. First of all, just thank me the organization of this webinar and Data Week organization. My name is Bernardo Veiga, head of EDP's Big Data and Analytics Competence Center. For those who doesn't know, EDP is the biggest utility company in Portugal. Our core business is the production and distribution of electric power. My competence center is focused on defining architectures, project advisory, and solution development. And I'm here today to talk with you about the Corporate Data Lake, which is an operational data platform that my team are managing. I prepared a couple of slides to show you how this data lake came apart, okay, why we implemented it, and how. Nowadays, my English is a bit rusty. I hope you understand everything clearly, okay? So let's go. Let's start by introducing cloud analytics in EDP, okay? We started our cloud engagement in the summer of 2019 by doing some POCs with some cloud providers until we choose the Azure environment to begin our cloud migration. EDP is now migrating more than 200 applications, including some rehostings and refactorings that we are doing right now. And our competence center was essential on the definition of the architecture that we have today instantiated on cloud. As I said, as one of our responsibilities is to project advisory. Today we are participating in more than 20 analytics major projects. I can call a major project a project that have a budget more than €500,000, for example. Okay, we consider that a major project. And that's it. Let's go further for the explanation of how corporate data lake was defined. When in 2019 we began to develop the first streams on cloud, business just started to do some pressure to explore data. They asked us to develop, migrate, create new data warehouses and data marts for reporting, but we didn't have the data on the cloud yet. We needed to implement a fast way to get the data there. That was the main issue for us. So the question we made was, how can we provide source data on cloud that fast in a controlled and governed infrastructure? Because the risks of putting additional pressure on the operational systems were huge. So we drew a bit. We seated 4 guys at the table with a whiteboard someday, and we drew this. As you can observe, on the left side, there are the on-premise data source that is represented by this silo here in the left, and on the right, the cloud environment. So the first intention was to replicate the data to an area on the cloud, an area independent from the new initiatives that were being developed at the same time. And then we call this area the Corporate Data Lake, a single platform that contains the data from the operational systems to deliver that data to analytic applications, okay? And there are them here represented. So the data comes from the operational data. The landing zone is a corporate data lake that receives all this raw data, and then the applications just read this data and do the transformations, the ETL, the analytics part, machine learning, and so on. So this is how this idea came to life. I think it's easy for you to understand. But there were some issues about that we needed to answer. It's not so easy like this. I can show you some key issues on this creation. Let's proceed to those keys. Okay, I'm showing right now. There are these issues that are no more than simple questions. Okay, first of all, to create a data lake with a single purpose, we needed to comprehend how the data lake are made for. So at ADP, we have the data hubs with a concept that we created. They are analytic platforms on the cloud that contains all the data warehousing and exploration modules, and each business department has one data hub. So offloading ETL to that platforms is a valid use case. We can consider that is a valid use case to use a data lake. Providing data for machine learning, AI solutions, and so on could be another excellent and valid use case. So I represented here as a data discovery and exploration by data scientists. Everyone can understand this. Storing and enriching data sets, okay, this is quite obvious. For unstructured and multi-structured data sets. And of course, data archival, especially historical data. So these are all valid use cases that you could use to build a data lake. So next issue, we needed a data lake just for raw data. So let's see the main bullets that you concentrated in to make this decision. Time to market. Yes, that's the main issue for us. If our business teams needs this data for their applications, we can provide it, but we need governance. So the main reason, and the one of the most important to do this is the time to market, to just answer with output for our business teams. And the best way to do that is to build a solution in a single platform that is the only gateway to transfer data from on-premises to cloud. Excuse me. We couldn't allow the applications to get the data directly from on-premises. If you allow that, the operation systems were doomed. That's why data replication that I mentioned before in the draw was the solution, because replication does not impact the operational systems. And because of that, this platform main characteristic were to be fully independent and managed by a dedicated team like our competence center. So as I mentioned, avoid overflow and collapse of the operational systems was another main reason to build this data lake, a solution independent for all the applications and a dedicated team to manage it. Okay, so let's go further. How to implement a solution like this? What you are seeing are the applications consuming directly from the data sources. This kind of architecture is unmanageable, and worse of that is too risky. We are putting the systems under pressure. They were in risk of collapse and get performance degradation because we have so many applications reading from the same data source. So that's why the corporate data lake. As I mentioned, the replication does not impact the systems. We replicate the data to the corporate data lake, and the applications could consume from it without any issue and in a controlled way, okay? As I explained, our company operational systems are under migration to cloud until 2023, 2022, 2023. And in a parallel stream, new data sources must be available on the corporate data lake, because every day the business is asking for more data sources to be available on the corporate data lake to enrich the analytic systems. So as you can observe in the upper side, for the data sources, that are already migrated, we are replicating in a simple cloud-to-cloud connection. Okay, you see in the upper side and in the left, in the right upper side. Okay. For the data sources that are already migrated, we are doing the batch ingestion and the change data capture, but we are replicating directly from on-premises too. And these, I will back one slide, okay? Interpret these as data sources that are on-premises, okay? That's why I put their replicates to cloud, okay? Because this is important. I don't want to focus the applications that are already on the cloud. I just put this scheme here for you to understand that we are replicating data sources that are in cloud but on premise as well. Okay. So all the replicated data are being stored in a transactional way. The change data capture processes are storing all the inserts, updates, and deletes that are occurring in the sources. That's how CDC works. All the data are stored in Parquet, JSON, Avro file type, and another type. We have XML and another. Then the data hubs, and now I'm talking about this scheme here. Then the data hubs that I mentioned will consume the data from the corporate data lake to enrich the solutions, and finally the business could analyze and explore that information. As you can see, our data warehouses are instantiated in two ways. One relational, that you can see on red, that is the SQL relational database, and we are storing the data in a data lake too, using a new technical approach that you hear probably, which is called Delta Lake. Okay, I made another scheme here to be easy for you to understand how this puzzle is mounted and where the corporate data lake is positioned in the middle of this puzzle. Here you can observe two different streams, one for each type of environment. I just put the environment here for you to understand that that we can have completed segregated streams end to end. Okay, we have non-production and production environments. The data is ingested from the data sources to the corporate data lake, and then without any transformation is consumed by the data hubs that are represented on the right. Because remember, I'm saying that is without any transformation, because don't forget the corporate data lake only contains the raw data, not treated data, not curated data, just it's the same data that is in the operational data sources, okay? And the data hubs only has read permissions on this platform of corporate data lake to read this data and then do the transformations in these ATL clusters that I put here in blue, okay? And I show you because I'm transposing this to an example on Azure environment. Our main systems are Oracle, SAP, SQL Server, like all big companies, okay? Nothing new here. We replicate the data using Oracle Golden Gate for Oracle sources and Azure Data Factory for other type of sources, okay? Then the data is stored in a Azure storage account, okay, with data lake add-on, and classified with Purview, which is a solution that Microsoft provides to answer the GDPR regulation, okay? And finally, the data hub, as I mentioned before, the data hub's ETL tools like Databricks and Data Factory transform the data, build the data warehouses, and allows the business to explore the data through reporting. Okay, I put here the Power BI, okay, I could put analysis service and another tools like Tableau and so on, okay? And last but not least, how to govern this. There's a couple of challenges that we need to be aware. Concurrency is one of them, because today many different applications are consuming from the corporate data lake. We needed to ensure that all the applications could read the data at the same time with maximum performance. Okay, the data must be easy to find, that data, and understand for all the stakeholders and all the teams involved in this. That's why the data findability is essential. I saw this term in a presentation that I have participated not long ago, and it's an interesting term, data findability, which is an important challenge, and we had that challenge when we created this infrastructure, okay? Because all the organization needs to know what data we have, because some data sources we don't have full replicas, okay? We have some data sources that we are only replicating a couple of tables, but the business teams and the development teams come to me and say, Bernardo, I need 10 more tables in this data source. So how they know that they need these 10 tables? Because we have documentation, and they could find the data that we are that is available on the corporate data lake. So this is a very important matter, okay? And the last two, reliability and security, are the challenges that we are investing more, okay, every day in improving our controls, like logging, monitoring, and so on. The company needs to believe and must believe in this platform. It's very important. And actually, in our case, in EDP, we did it. Today, the corporate data lake is the guardian of all valuable data, all valuable operational data, I could say like that, on all EDP cloud environment, okay? And it is very, very big. I can say you that now we had more than 60 or 70 applications already. Some of them migrated, some of them built as cloud native, okay? So we have a big and huge environment right now, okay? So data catalog is a must. This is important, okay? Documentation and the completed data catalog are really a must. These three questions are the questions all teams, as I said, and stakeholders want to know the answer, okay? Which data are stored in the corporate data lake? They somehow they question me if the data source is already available in the corporate data lake, as I mentioned in the last slide. But we need to know where this data is being used to. This is very important. I need to control the applications that I'm providing data. I need to control all these pipelines and all the mount points that I'm providing at quite near real time, okay? It's we are implementing some controls every day and improving, as I said, but this is very important. And the third bullet, the organization must know who is the data owner of those data, because in the corporate data lake, we are only replicating the data to cloud, but that data as an owner, and to allow an application to consume data of a certain data source, the data owner must authorize, okay? And today, as you know, the GDPR is difficult. With the GDPR, is difficult to enable access for certain type of data, because we have personal data, we have marketing sensitive data, we have a lot of types of data in which concerns about the GDPR. So it's difficult sometimes to get these authorizations, but we were being successful. Okay. So the last topic is how to manage this. Okay, how to manage this governance and this infrastructure. We have two teams, one for implement the replication process and another to administrating the platform. This team of data engineers are responsible to maintain and implement new replication process. As I said, if a new project comes to life and needs more tables in a certain data source, this team of data engineers need to develop those pipelines, okay, to provide that data in the corporate data lake. And if there is any problem or we need to do some troubleshooting, these data engineers will solve the issue. Okay, we have another team of cloud engineers to resource administration, and they administrate the cloud components. They ensure that the virtual machines and the data lake is the correct housekeeping, if the housekeeping is being doing, and most important, as I said, these two teams needs to work together. Okay, this is very important. The third bullet I have, actually, the last two topics I explained before. Provide the data catalog to organization is very important and is essential. Okay, and maintain the corporate data lake as a managed platform, independent of all other applications. Because for this infrastructure and this solution to be successful, we cannot be manipulated by the other applications demand. Okay, that's why the applications only have read-only access to this platform. The only process that modify and manipulate the files in the corporate data lake are the process that are supporting the replications. Okay, so to have an independent team with the independent solution, it is essential for this to be successful. Okay, so that's it. Thank you, everyone. I hope you keep safe from COVID. Okay, and have a nice day.